We've been talking about this lovely quality or mental factor called humor here at the Abbey. We just finished 2.5 weeks of exploring monastic life. And how does humor play a part in our practice? Someone said during exploring monastic life that Jitsuma Tenzin Palmo said it should be regarded as the 7th far-reaching practice on the Bodhisattva path, followed after wisdom. And so I just want to share some of my insights about this. When I first met the Dharma, I think there are kind of stages for me, and that maybe they play out like this for you or not, but I'm going to list them anyway. So when I first met the Dharma, I would have called myself an evangelical Buddhist. I was so excited about the Dharma, and I was so taken by it that I would, and I had very little knowledge, so this is the most dangerous part when you decide that you love the Dharma, is that you go being evangelical about the little bit of understanding that you have. So that was my first experience where anybody who would listen, some of my dearest friends had to put up with me for like the first year, as I would just encourage them that if they had any sense about them, that they should be following the Dharma like I have decided to follow, and give them these very, I think, misunderstood talks on karma and precious human rebirth and the suffering of the lower realms, and I don't know, I was just so passionate about it and so happy that I had found it. So I was very evangelical the first year and a half. And so I'd say that there was some joy in there, but there wasn't a lot of humor because I was way, way too serious about my passion about it. And then maybe from the second to the, second to the 5th or 6th year, the honeymoon was over, and I decided that it was my path, so now I was going to really jump in. And I got very, very serious about the Dharma. You couldn't make me laugh to save my life. I was so bent on doing everything right, being a perfect Buddhist, trying to wrap an identity around this new found path of mine. So then I became a Buddhist, became very, very serious, and I had these deep, short discourses with my friends about the Dharma over tea and lattes in Seattle, and but we never got into, I mean, I wasn't at the place where I could really laugh at myself. All I could see was the incredible suffering that was in the world, my own incredible suffering, and I was very much identified with that suffering. And I was also identified with being a Buddhist. I had taken refuge with Venerable, and now I was an official Buddhist. And then somewhere along the line, I went to some of the retreats at Cloud Mountain, which Venerable led back there in the early 2000s. And one of the things that became a tradition that I was unaware of at the time is that after these retreats and programs and stuff that Venerable would be leading, you would have to do skits, which is basically her offering to, first of all, I think to see if we had understood some of the teachings that she had given during the retreat. That we had been able to look at our own crazy minds and all the myriad of forms of that, and be able to look back and sort of caricaturize or anthropomorphize these sort of states of mind. And in the first, I would say, all the Cloud Mountain retreats, and even some of the ones here, I was in abject anxiety and trepidation when we start getting into the last 2 or 3 days of any of these programs, because I knew this was what was going to happen. And I was very much attached to my reputation, very much attached to approval. So as a result, some of my skits were very, very serious monologues. Very, I don't know what I was trying to. There was something I was very, very serious about what I wanted to get, the point I was trying to get across. And then as the years went on, and due to Venerable's persistence in, we would do this sometimes 3 or 4 times a year, after winter retreat, after young adult, after EML. I think one time we did it in the middle of, just in the springtime somewhere. There was like this transition period. And because Venerable has a remarkable sense of humor, she is very skillful at making fun of her own foibles and her own mental states. And she is well known to pointing out others' silly mental states and foibles as well. And as the years went on, I started to see that when I could appreciate the humor of it, even when I was kind of knotted down into something really tight and very deeply kind of hunker down. If I could stand back and laugh at the foolishness and the exaggeration, it would really lift my mind in a very profound way. And then as a result, I could move through whatever struggling state of mind I was in with some more, a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more quickly. And then somewhere maybe about 4 years ago, and we have people in the community that do these great pantomimes and great spontaneous group skits that are just so incredibly wonderful and amazing. But I went to this track of starting to do these funny little monologues. I started doing these caricatures like St. Francis of Sravasti. I did this funny little sick person who was sick all winter, and I had this caricature of her. I've done an actress sort of person that comes to do the 4 establishments of mindfulness and look at her attachment to the body. But what it's done for me, it has really gotten me turned towards seeing humor as a beautiful quality to have when we're looking at the self-centered thought, when we're looking at our own struggles and foibles, and when we're also being able to watch each other. And so as the humor has grown in the community here, we just had our skits just a few days ago, and they were just absolutely wonderful and hysterical and just spot on, I have seen that if we're going to do the Bodhisattva path for 3 countless great eons, which is I have no idea how long that is, but it sounds like a really long time. If we don't have a sense of humor about how we identify ourselves, the self-centered thought, the grasping, the afflicted states of mind, to be able to like loosen up our grasp on how we identify with them and reify the sense of self because of them, the humor really does loosen up the grip, makes the self a lot more kind of wobbly and a little bit more loose and not so tight and so solid. Is that I think is going to be quite an important factor when it comes to realizing dependent arising, when it comes to realizing the lack of inherent existence of the self and others. So I'm hoping that as the years go on, that I'm sure not going to give up having skits anywhere in the near future, is to be able to use humor as a deep, profound practice of the Dharma in order to realize the nature of reality. I think it's going to be in there somewhere with the other 6 far-reaching practices. So that's what I'm shooting for. So if you have a sense of humor, please keep it. And if you don't, let's encourage each other to generate and grow one.